Have you decided whether you are going to run for re-election in 2024? You haven't set up a re-election campaign yet, as your predecessor had by this time.
My predecessor needed to. My predecessor. Oh, God, I miss it.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome to One Love with Far One. I'm your host, Far One. This is episode 4, March Madness. Let's get straight into the news. Our first topic is going to be something that is as American as apple pie. Racism.
This morning, we're hearing from an Oklahoma girls basketball team that was called the N-word by a sports announcer who was calling the game. And he said that into a live microphone as a team took a knee during the national anthem at a high school tournament game.
The Norman High School girls basketball squad had taken a knee during the national anthem all season in an effort to bring awareness to racism and social injustice. But on Thursday, an open microphone captured sports announcer Matt Rowan berating them with a racial slur.
That just goes to prove the point that this is why we took a knee.
Rowan did release an apology, but blamed the rant on his type 1 diabetes, writing, "I do not believe that I would have made such horrible statements absent my sugar spiking."
Wait. Is this man trying to blame his racist rant on the sugars? Come on, man. You telling me if you don't have a Snickers on deck, all of a sudden you turn into the racist Hulk? You won't like me when I'm hangry. Are you telling me that he trying to say he ain't really racist? He just got a sweet tooth craving? Are you telling me all we need to end systematic racism is just give white people Halloween candy? Yay! Now, I know there's people like Far One. That was an old white guy in the South. You know, things are different now. He's from a different time, different era, blah, 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 blah. Those people aren't hip to this new generation of racists that make the Z in Gen Z stand for xenophobia. Wait, did I spell that right? Oh.
History was my worst subject, if you guys didn't know.
Now think in the history.
Who else besides the Indians do you think, if it wasn't the Indians, that we were fighting?
Mexicans.
Okay.
Them dang illegals. Don't post that. I'll get hate. I also said nigga in the last thing you posted. So
that's part of the song,
people, I don't care if people are gonna think I'm racist.
Not because it's part of a song.
I say nigga all the time.
Me too.
But
not
I
in front of
street
niggas.
cred.
I don't be saying it in front of black people. And I'm sure you got a lot of black followers. Love you.
Clearly at this dental office, your teeth ain't the only thing they're trying to keep white. Like, how are you more concerned about appearing racist on social media than you are about being racist in real life? And then you got the one lady talking about, oh, I say the N-word because I got street cred. Like, what the fuck does that mean? And her father is recording the video saying, oh, it's okay if you say it in a song. Like, why are you recording racist memories of your daughter? Like, are you going to be at the family reunion with your phone? Like, here's her saying her first words. Here's her first steps. Oh my gosh, and here's her first racial slur. Oh my goodness, they just grow up so fast. The N-word isn't only being used by white people in the South in 2021. It's also being used in New York City, and it wasn't even a rap battle.
We are back now with that video of an incident at a bakery when a New York woman used a racial slur against a young man after she refused to wear a mask in the store. Kenneth Moten, who spoke with that employee, and he joins us now with more.
It's the shocking moment a white woman said this to a black bakery worker in New York City.
Why? Because he's a bitch.
The video, recorded by a bystander, showing the woman denied service by the employee after refusing to wear a face mask.
I can't wear a mask, sir.
Security at the scene attempting to de-escalate the situation, but things took a turn when the woman hurled a racial slur.
Ma'am, he's not going to serve us, so please leave.
Why? Because he's a bitch.
Oh my God.
That's what he is.
The woman doubling down on the racist insult next to children that appear to be with her.
Disgusting. And you have a baby who's big.
This morning, the man behind the counter, 30-year-old Victor Kamara, is speaking out.
For a Black person, we know that the N-word has a way of really, it strikes you like a lightning bolt. Did it make you take a step back?
I was like, why would you call me that? You know what I mean? And especially having kids that are mixed, you know, why would you use those words?
Come on, Bagel Karen. You think you could use the N-word because your kids are biracial? And because your kids are biracial, you ain't racist? Look, just because you have black in you, don't mean you got black in you. Okay? And I don't want to hear nothing about some 23andMe result that said you're 3% Nigerian or some shit like that. Like, I ain't got time for it. Dear white people, the only time you're allowed to use the N-word is when you're casted in a Quentin Tarantino movie and you play the racist villain. And then only if you die by the end of the movie. Remember when Obama became president and you start to see this narrative about us being in a post-racial society? Well, as a black man, I knew it was BS. But it's not just BS for black people. It's also BS for all the immigrants who come over from Latin American countries. It's also BS for the Muslims that come to America for refuge. It's also BS for the Asian Americans who have seen an uptick in hate crimes towards them in the last year. It's crazy this increase in violence towards Asian Americans also corresponded with the ex-president of the United States using phrases that he likes to use, like the China virus and the Kung flu. I wonder.
We have new information this morning on the attacks around Atlanta that killed 8 people on Tuesday, including 6 Asian women. The suspect, 21-year-old Robert Long, is charged with murder and aggravated assault. But one police spokesman is taking criticism for his public response as investigators say they are not sure if the attacks targeted Asians.
8 people were murdered in roughly 1 hour, 6 of them Asian women.
This is still early, but he does claim that it was not racially motivated.
Officials said race did not appear to be behind the attacks.
He apparently has an issue, what he considers a sex addiction, and sees these locations as something that allows him to go to these places, and it's a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate.
But activist and author Helen Zia said authorities are missing important context.
Hypersexualization of Asian American women is part of the racism toward Asian Americans. And to say that sexual addiction is an excuse or a reason to go on a mass killing rampage is ridiculous. He's going to take the word of a mass shooter who happens to be white against the lived experience of the Asian American community.
Zia also said Captain Jay Baker's description of the suspect's frame of mind was outrageous.
And he was pretty much fed up and kind of at the end of his rope, and yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did.
He was having a bad day. Like, when I have a bad day, I get a pint of ice cream and watch my favorite movie. I don't go around shooting people. This man was crossing county lines. But this isn't the first time where we've seen law enforcement coddle white mass shooters. With Dylan Roof, he had just came from shooting up a church, and they took this man to Burger King. When you kill Americans, you can't have it your way. So you're telling me I'm supposed to just accept our law enforcement officers coddling mass murderers while I still haven't received justice for the death of Breonna Taylor a year later? And speaking of injustice, when it comes to Asian women and black women, our first woman VP, who's both black and Asian, even she had an incident this month where there was a guy with ammunition outside of her house, just blocks away, and the Secret Service found him. Why does he need all these weapons?
A San Antonio man is arrested near the home of Vice President Kamala Harris in Washington, D.C.
Investigators say the Army veteran had a rifle and more than 100 rounds of ammunition.
An AR-15, 5 30-round magazines, and more than 100 rounds of unregistered ammunition. Washington, D.C. police say that's what was found inside Paul Murray's car.
I swear, with all of these Republican officials, I don't think we'll ever have gun reform until we get them out of office. They've literally sold out to lobbyists and to white nationalism just based on their policies and the ones they vote against for the people. Literally 0 Republicans voted for the pandemic bill that put money into American families who needed it during these hard times. We need gun reform in this country. That's why when it comes to local elections and even the upcoming midterms, we gotta be ready to vote and hit the polls.
Georgia's sweeping new election law. President Biden calling it Jim Crow in the 21st century. Governor Kemp behind closed doors signing the bill into law last night. A state lawmaker arrested, knocking on his office door, asking to witness the signing. Georgia, one of more than 40 states now moving to set new limits on voting under the guise of election security, despite no credible evidence of widespread election fraud. Opponents argue it will only suppress the vote, especially in black communities. ABC's Steve Osinsami is in Atlanta.
It's the new election law that many tonight are calling racist, signed by the same Georgia governor who refused to go along with the wildest rumors of widespread fraud in the last 2 elections where the Democrats won. And here's what he's saying now.
There's no doubt there were many alarming issues with how the election was handled.
There are now 2 photos defining this pivotal moment, one with the white Republican men signing the law, and another with a lone black woman getting arrested for trying to get in the room. State Representative Park Cannon is a Democrat, and she was put in jail after she refused to stop knocking on the governor's door.
There is no reason for me to be arrested. I am a legislator. Do not touch me.
U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock is the pastor of her church and was at the jail when they bailed her out.
What we have witnessed today is a desperate attempt to lock out and squeeze the people out of their own democracy.
Those popular outdoor ballot drop boxes that were available 24/7 can now only be used inside an early voting location and only while that location is open. You'll now need to provide a license or an ID number to vote by mail. And it's now a crime in Georgia for anyone other than a poll worker to offer food or water to people waiting in the endless lines they often see in the large cities. Outside the State House, black and brown voters are screaming that this is voter suppression. The president today called the new rules Jim Crow in the 21st century.
They passed a law saying you can't provide water for people standing in line while they're waiting to vote. You don't need anything else to know that this is nothing but punitive, designed to keep people from voting.
So you telling me that we're not going to focus on gun reform, but we're going to criminalize freaking bottles of water? Like, I understand giving somebody Dasani illegal, because that's just criminal. But not my dear Park. Do you know why people were passing out bottles of water to Georgia voters? Because they were waiting in line for 8 hours, especially when it came to communities of color. There were less places to vote and more people trying to vote. 8 hours? That's a damn work day. It seems like Republicans are more focused on voter suppression than they are on gun reform. I guess the only time an American can have same-day registration is for an assault weapon. The party who's so hands-off about guns is very hands-on about women's reproductive rights, even during Women's History Month. Look, even if I could dodge bullets like Neo in the Matrix, I would still say we need gun reform in this country. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the love and support. Make sure you wear a mask, maintain social distancing, stay safe, be blessed. One love.
Go ahead and let it shake, shake, yeah, I'ma make you vibrate, shake, shake, yeah, I'ma make you vibrate, shake, shake, yeah.